Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. And we're taking a look here today at Filecoin, FIL, and this is a huge request from my community. Thank you so much for asking that I cover this. This is also something I've kind of had my eye on here recently. I think this is a perfect swing trading opportunity. And we'll take a closer look at that, of course, here, and I'll explain why. But more importantly, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research, and the reason why is because you need to take ownership of your own trades and be the best trader you can be, right? Learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. Don't take what I teach you here today as, the one and only method. There's a lot of good things out there you want to try to disseminate and use in your own trading style, right? Now, I have about an 80% success rate overall with my trading, so everything you see here today does lead to a very profitable experience. So if you are interested in sharing along with that, I do share my trades with my community members. Link in the description below. Check out my Patron account, of course. Happy to have you along. Community is growing fast. But regardless, I want you to be safe and secure. So my goal is to help you become more of an effective trader. I'm not a hype type of person. I like to kind of be very straight and educated in my investments. So hopefully you can kind of take some best practice here from this, and just know that I want to make sure you trade for a lifetime, not just for one day, and you can be more effective yourself. All right. So be on the lookout for a good, positive learning experience here today. All right. If you're new to the channel, have fun. If not, thank you so much for coming back. Why don't we just go ahead and get to the charts without enough rambling for me. Let's get to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Filecoin. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just so we can get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. Because any good trader will understand, what Bitcoin's doing, because that's like the catalyst for most price movement. And Ethereum's good too, because there's a lot of coins, altcoins specifically, on the ERC20 blockchain. So that's why we like to look at that here. Now, just to preface, I use TradingView.com desktop application. I get that question a lot, so I just figure I address that in every video. And just know that I use the paid versions where it has multiple indicators present at any given time. Recommend one yourself. Link in the description below for a free month. See if you like it. Okay. So, looking here at the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. Price is bumping up and below 50,000. It can't quite figure it out. Bear in mind too, on the one-day chart, just to preface here as well, the candle has not closed. We've got 3 days in a row where the price keeps closing below 50,000. Therefore, it is still considered a resistance, not a support level, which is the main reason why we haven't seen a lot of altcoins take off. I think this upcoming week we'll see a different story. But for right now, that's kind of where it's at. There's a strong chance it will break here soon with the next 24 to 48 hours. I think that's very likely. But just keep in mind, that's why we've seen some stunted growth in a few coins based on the simple fact that Bitcoin hasn't officially taken off and it hasn't started to trend towards 60,000 yet. That's the kind of the overall sentiment there. Moving on to the support and resistance levels here. Obviously, the 50, which is this orange line here, is working as a support level. The 200 as well. Below that, we have 46,800 as a major support level. It proved to be very successful in the last couple of last few trading days, essentially last week. And then, of course, we got 44,000 as a secondary support from there. But all in all, I wouldn't say sky's the limit per se, but there's not a lot of resistance between 50 and 60,000. So again, once Bitcoin breaks above this level, we're going to start seeing some really cool things. Moving on to Ethereum. Similar scenario here for just the last couple of trading days. It's kind of plateaued, so to speak, but did very good. It jumped up a lot. It's only about 7% away from its previous all-time high, which is about 4160. Okay, so keep that in mind. Ethereum is essentially doing very well. We're going to see the 50-day simple moving average get tested here in the next couple of days likely, or possibly, just based on how the price continues. But just know that most people transition over to Ethereum when Bitcoin just goes sideways for a long time, and that eventually happened. As you can see here, a lot of similar price movement from Bitcoin to Ethereum. However, just recently it broke free from it and it took off. It's a very common theme with Ethereum. You could see that happen back here as well. When Bitcoin went sideways for some time, Ethereum just took off and hit its previous all-time high. Also bear in mind too, I got this question recently. Why is the all-time high 4160? Well, it's the one-day chart that matters, right? So if you take a look here, you can see the price never exceeded that point and didn't close above that point at the end of the day. Again, it's whenever the one-day chart closes, not the 4-hour chart, not the 1-hour chart. The one-day chart has to close at a specific point in order for that to be a support or resistance. That's why this highest point for Ethereum, yes, 4360, that still didn't close on that day. So just a little heads up there. All right, so moving on to Filecoin. Let's take a look here at Filecoin. So Filecoin is interesting. It's been moving up a lot. First of all, also, I just want to let you know, thank you so much to my community members for asking that I cover this. This is a good coin. It's something that's usually not on my radar, but it has a pretty good history. In other words, we're at a very low point, even though it's jumped up significantly. I think there's tremendous amount more room for growth here based on this average true range. And what I say by that too is, of course, obviously, back in February, it was towing it down about $45. And then no more than 2 months later is at like 238 for its high. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that when you look at coins, right, and you try to understand specifically where it's going to go in the near future, right? Part of that prediction process is understanding where it's come from in the first place. When coins are at new all-time highs, it's creating new all-time highs, higher lows. It's hard to say where it's going to go specifically. Like ADA, there's a few other ones that broke their previous all-time highs recently, and they're in uncharted territory. So all you can really do is rely on support and resistance levels established as the price continues to move, right? With this here, of course, it has a history because we're not quite there yet. Okay. So that being said, if you look at the price where it was averaging the most, so just say here from March 31st up to April 17th, and I choose April 17th because that is essentially the very first major Bitcoin sell-off, right? Because we were at like 50 to 64,000 in this range right here, and then Bitcoin plunged down to like 40,000, scared the crap out of everyone, and then most people pulled their coins out, and that's why we see the price decrease like this. Okay. Obviously, we have the China candle here as well, but generally speaking, that was like the first major catalyst for a downward movement in the market. So therefore, I like to use this kind of as a baseline. So this average time frame here for this last 2.5 weeks, Filecoin was averaging between 153 and approximately 190. In fact, let me just go ahead and mark 190 really quick because that's the all-time high. That's essentially where it could get to again. So keep this in mind. Bitcoin was at 50, just say 64,000 at its best back around March 31st. And Filecoin hit 190. We won't mention that it went to 238, but it hit 190 2 days in a row, right? That is some significant increase, but you think about the relativity there. Bitcoin was at 64,000. Well, Bitcoin right now is at 50,000. Look how much lower it is. Like, I mean, that is a significant difference. So, I mean, we're talking 43% difference in price for only 10,000 worth of Bitcoin. So to me, if we can get Bitcoin up to 60,000, possibly even higher, I think that's very likely, then where's Filecoin going to be when that happens? Okay, so there's a lot of room for growth here. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. So that's what the average true range kind of factors in. It's not 100%, but it works for the most part in my swing trading that I've utilized year in and year out. All right, so just keep that in mind. This is a very valid reasoning. You need to look at those things. It's really important. But regardless, why don't we just go ahead and mark this too? We got a MACD convergence on September 23rd. Oh, 23rd. We're not even there yet. Sorry. September 3rd, 2021. All right, we'll just go ahead and mark that guy. So right here, that was when the MACD was converging and telling us we have a potential of a long position. Now, what probably happened is, if you can see here, you can see the 1-day chart, this 200-day simple moving average. Do you see how it blasted through the price, broke through there? What probably happened is there's a short squeeze. Oftentimes, short squeeze holders, or short holders rather, can get squeezed out because they are holding a position right at the major resistance level. Okay, so that's often what happens. So you can see that gets pushed up, that breaks, and then right here, the second wave is likely people like you and I jumping into the market because we see a good opportunity. So oftentimes you'll see like two different waves. The first one is a short squeeze. The second one is kind of the more traditional traders jumping in because they see good value. All right, so anyways, that's just kind of what we see here. RSI's up over 70, no big deal. I do think that we might see a slight taper. What I would like to see here from Filecoin is a little bit of sideways action for a couple of days and then an increase, because any good bull run, you'll see me talk about this time and time again, it has to come up and over. You want to see a good bull run like that, right? Because anytime it goes like this, then you're going to see it check itself and come back down, usually about 50% of the way. So to avoid that 50% retracement down to the support level at about $87, we want to see some sideways action from Filecoin and not just take off completely. Because if we see another 2 or 3 days of this, which is likely, it could happen, it'll come crashing back down, right? We don't want to have that happen. The bottom line, we did break a support level here. There's this as well, so let's go ahead and mark that. That would be a support level for us at approximately $89. And just to clarify, you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row, the price rejected and kept the price down. So the bulls or the bears were like, nope, we're not going above this price here today. Now it broke, and again, probably led to the short squeeze. All right, moving on to the 4-hour chart. Let's go ahead and see here. Got a MACD convergence here as well on the 3rd, almost exactly the same time, just a little bit later in the day. So we'll go ahead and mark that as well. And then, of course, we got RSI up over 70. In fact, it's in the 90 range. So again, that's extremely overextended. I'm sure if we were to look at TD sequential, yeah, see, we're in overtime here. So if you can kind of see this, just so I always like to teach this if you're not familiar with it. So TD sequential is essentially, it takes the 4th previous candlestick, and if it's lower, then it keeps counting up. And when it hits a 9, it stops. And the reason why is because that's kind of a state of exhaustion, right? Anytime you have 9 candlesticks in the same direction, whether or not it's on the 1-hour, 4-hour chart, you'll see a common correlation where the price usually comes back down. Now, what I'm guessing happened here, and it's more likely than not, this major resistance level was broken. Therefore, we created a short squeeze and we continue this momentum higher. Had that not been broken, we would have seen a rejection and the price come back down. Okay, so that's kind of what the cool thing that happened here. It kind of create this continuation, but keep in mind, Filecoin's in overtime right now. The likelihood of it going much higher right now is fairly low, just based on the data alone, right? There could be some super strong fundamentals I can't see here, but I can tell you right now, based on what I've seen, I don't think 108, 110 it's gonna go much higher than that right now, just based on the fact that it has to kind of calm down and cool down. But here's the cool thing, and you couldn't see this in the 1-day chart. It does have a nice healthy pattern here, right? So if we can get this to go sideways a little bit longer, we will see another shot upwards. Okay. So if at all possible, I'm going to pay close attention to this one here today. If it comes back down a little bit, I'm going to plan to maybe consider taking entry and obviously go long, because there's tons of potential here with Filecoin. This definitely has a lot of potential. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-hour chart. And let's enable Ishimoku Cloud and take a look here. And look at this. This is like, it's crazy how often this happens. Okay, so I marked the MACD on the 1-day chart and the 4-hour chart, right? This squiggly line here, essentially, well, I don't know, whatever, the blocky line here, that's the 1-day chart. Okay, so in this 1-day period, this 24-hour period, the MACD was like, hey, we got a convergence, the price is going to swing upwards, the bears lost control, and the bulls are in control now. Okay, so that happens sometime during this period. But on the 4-hour chart, it gives us a little more precise indication. It's like, hey, right here at this time, we're going to see an increase in price based on the fact that the bears are conceding. The way that the EMA lines work, it's a 12 intersecting with a 26. So if you look at the MACD, for example, right, and just kind of give you perspective, this fast moving line is the 12 EMA 12. But the 26 EMA is this slower moving line, and when the price intersects in an upward fashion, that creates a convergence essentially. It's a divergence if it goes down, of course. But a convergence basically tells us that the bulls are in control. And what's even cooler about this here, and take a look at this, with the Ishimoku cloud, if you're new to the channel, the cloud is basically telling us when the price is above, because it also works on EMA lines. When the price is above, it's considered a buy signal. When it's below, it's considered a sell signal. So isn't this crazy? The price hovers within here. We get 2 MACD convergences on the 4-hour and the 1-day chart. And look at this, not 1 hour later, the price takes off, okay? So there's no coincidence. Almost every time I do a review video of coins that have performed like this, you see that correlation, right? So the best thing you can do for yourself is to set an alert, set some kind of alert where when the Ishimoku cloud breaks above, you get an alert, and or when the price breaks above on the 4-hour chart for, just say, a MACD convergence, you get that convergence to the upside. That's another indication of a buy signal. Okay, so those things I pay attention to. So I have a signal group where I send out signals, usually about 2 to 4 signals per week, based on swing trades, day trades, and hodl trades. And these are the things I look for. So everything you're learning here today keeps me at about an 80% success rate overall. And I share my trades with my community, so be sure to check that out in your own time. But more importantly, pay attention to how the Ishimoku cloud works. It's a very, very useful tool. Let's take a quick look at TD sequential here. We'll see we're at an 8. So as you can tell, this most recent little push after the state of consolidation, we're up to an 8. So look how healthy this is. You got the price come up here, of course, we're going sideways. We break resistance, we count up to a 9, and then it resets. We go straight sideways, right? Again, this is a staircase pattern. If we can go sideways once we hit a 9 here, so in other words, we probably only will see one more increase in price as far as a 1 hour time frame is concerned, and then we'll hope for the price to go sideways, and then it keeps continuing up. I don't know if you remember when BNB went on its run from like $300 to $600 in like a 2-week period. No one saw it coming because it did exactly this. Just a nice 5 to 15% increase every single day. So I think Filecoin has potential for this, honestly. Just based on what I've seen here, everything about this is healthy. It's good. The bears have kind of given up, and the bulls are in complete control. If Bitcoin can close over 50,000, Filecoin is going to take off. I think it's going to go even further. It already has taken off, don't get me wrong, because if you look at this here, we're up about 40% in, I think, 2 days, 2 trading days, if I'm not mistaken. That might even be a day and a half. So yeah, all good things here for Filecoin. So this is a strong swing trade. I wouldn't want to day trade this just based on the fact that I think it has potential to retrace a little bit, but I do think that it's strong potential to the upside here. And there's a good, would this be a 2x? What was the high price? So 190, price is at 108. Okay, you can probably get 1.5 or 1.75x on this guy. I'm pretty confident of that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 15. Also, too, if you are new to the channel, I don't hype coins up very often, right? So when I see this kind of pattern, I get kind of excited. So just keep that in mind. If you watch some of my other videos, you won't notice the same. I typically say to sell and to take your profits, but I think there's more profit potential here for Filecoin, just so you know. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the EMA and VWAP notification. This pretty much just tells us the bulls are, again, in control. We can kind of already see that here. But after the state of consolidation here, you can see the price stays above EMA. That's this red line here. That's the EMA 15. And it stays above VWAP as well. It tried to test right here, but rejected and continued up. So if all goes well, the VWAP continues like this. The price starts to taper off, level out, consolidate, and then it ramps back up again. Okay, that's what I'm hoping for. But if you're new to the channel or new to VWAP in general, it's the volume weighted average price. It takes the volume last 24 hours and expresses it as a price. And the beautiful thing about that is the fact that it helps us understand what the volume is telling us, because most of us keep the volume disabled, right? But with this large increase in volume, the price has a tendency of moving up faster, of course, because there's more, more volume, and in turn there's more volatility. But if we can see the variance, or correction, the actual the price action there, the difference there, there's a standard deviation between the top and the bottom of the VWAP. That's only at 9%. Just say round up to say 10%. If it goes much higher, it'll probably come crashing back down. That's why I love this bull run here, right where we're at. If it can just kind of plateau right now, go sideways for some time, we're going to see it calm down. That standard deviation lines retrace or kind of come back, or retract rather, and then we get a nice solid pump afterwards. Because you saw what happened back here. Same thing happened. Look at this sharp increase. That's probably the short squeeze right there. You can see all the volume. A lot of the short squeezers, or short, the short squeezers, a lot of the shorts are getting squeezed out. So they're like, oh crap, I got to get out of this trade. And then the price comes up, comes over. And then if we just look at this variance here, right? So that variance, look at that. That is so awesome. It's like right at 11%. Anytime you have a standard deviation of 10% or greater from the VWAP to the current price action, there's commonly a retracement. Yes, it came back down, but it went sideways from there. So honestly, if we can get the exact same pattern here, we're going to see this thing shoot up again. And what was the increase here? Because it's kind of trending the same. We're looking at anywhere between 12 to 16%. So I think there's a strong likelihood of Filecoin pumping up that much higher here soon. Again, we want to have a day or two of consolidation, but if we can get this to go sideways and then Bitcoin just decides it wants to close above 50,000 and maybe starts trending to 51, 52, yeah, we're going to see some cool things here from Filecoin. So I hope you did find benefit here today. Again, everything I use is what I use, day in and day out. This is my natural trading style. Bitcoin first, always take a look at that. Always look at Ethereum as well, but it's not always relevant, just depending on the ERC20 blockchain. But more importantly, always look at the one-day chart. Understand the average true range. Work your way down to the 4-hour chart. Look at the MACD. Then quickly glance at the Ishimoku cloud on the 1-hour chart. It should literally take you no more than 5 or 10 minutes. It takes me a little longer here because I'm explaining things as I go, but you can quickly analyze charts by doing what I do here. And if you're more of an autopilot person, check out my Patron account and just kind of cruise along. I'm making a lot of money for a lot of people, and more importantly, helping them understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? Because there's no reason to do any of this if you don't understand it. Anyways, I've been in the industry for a long time. I just love teaching, so I appreciate you being here and allowing me to hopefully help do that for you. So moving forward, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one.